Well, Green Bay Packers fans, in the midst of a lost season, got the greatest victory they possibly could in the face of an embarrassing defeat Sunday at home against the sorry-ass Arizona Cardinals. It finally happened. What you've been pining for, yearning for, wishing for, hoping for, dreaming for has finally come to fruition. It's a reality. Mike McCarthy has been sent packing after almost 13 seasons as the guy in Green Bay. He was relieved of his head coaching duties of the Green Bay Packers. And certainly, this is a cause for great celebration amongst one, many, and perhaps all Green Bay Packer fans, as it should be. And when you look at Mike McCarthy, to me, it's one of those examples of you can go from being a hero to overstaying your welcome and eventually becoming the villain. Because while it's easy to focus on the recent reality of Mike McCarthy as the team's head coach and the recent results of the Packers 2017, and especially this year, you can't overlook that Mike McCarthy enjoyed a tremendous amount of success as the Green Bay Packers head coach. When you look from a pure success standpoint, his resume goes right up there with Mike Holmgren, and based off of the longevity, you would say that it might be even better. Even though Holmgren did go to 2 straight Super Bowls, he still only had the 1 Super Bowl championship, just like McCarthy. I mean, when you look at him, though, it, as much as anything else, is you become a bit of a victim of your own success to a certain degree, and there are certain standards that come along with that, especially when you play for a storied franchise with a Hall of Fame quarterback leading the way. Fans have expectations, and understandably so, especially coming off of the last Hall of Fame quarterback that he had all those years, 1 Super Bowl. You didn't want to see Aaron Rodgers go down that same path. So it's really easy to sit there and say, well, Mike McCarthy sucks. He should be shown the door. This is a guy, his career record as the head man for Green Bay was 125, 77, and 2. He had a .618 winning percentage, 10 and 8 in the postseason. In those 13 years as head coach, 9 trips to the playoffs, 8 seasons of 10-plus wins, 6 NFC North divisional crowns, and of course, they were Super Bowl champions in that 2010 season, which was actually a great coaching job by Mark McCarthy that year, if you remember, with how many injuries that team ultimately had. You look at McCarthy, and that resume, lesser head coaches have gotten into the Hall of Fame with less on their resume. Just saying. No, I'm not calling Mike McCarthy a Hall of Famer. The point I'm getting at here is, though, it's amazing how quickly narratives can shift when a guy overstays his welcome. And to me, that's really what happened here. And this has been something in the works, frankly, for several seasons now. And I think a lot of the ill will with Packer fans towards McCarthy dates back to that 2011 season. After winning the Super Bowl in the fashion that they did, this team comes back out 2011. They're even better. They're 15-1. They've got a home playoff game divisional round as the number 1 overall seed. They're hosting the Giants. Eli Manning, hell, you'll be able to beat them. You'll get revenge for the 2007 NFC Championship game. And all that didn't happen. The Packers lost that game, and it just was never really the same after that. 2 straight years losing in the playoffs to Colin Kaepernick, not being able to figure out a way to stop him. The 16-0 choke job in the NFC Championship game in that 2014 season in Seattle most certainly didn't help. The longer you went, Mike McCarthy became his own enemy. The overwhelmingly, ridiculously out-of-touch loyalty to Dom Capers for reasons that are unbeknownst to me and many other Packer fans out there. The inability and the lack of willingness to be creative and think outside of the box and do things differently in terms of his offensive philosophy, in terms of the play calling, in terms of the strategy, in terms of the system, in terms of everything. Ultimately, Mike McCarthy made his own bed, and now he has to lie in it. And sure, you could sit there and say, well, as a Bears fan, Jeff, you most certainly have got to be pleased with this, and you got to be happy with this. Hell no, I'm not. Absolutely not. Why would I be happy about this? Now as the Bears are kind of coming to the top, the forefront of the NFC North, why would I want the Green Bay Packers to shake things up, with the premise being if they get a better head coach in there, especially a better head coach that will kind of take Aaron Rodgers to task and hold him accountable a little bit more, and in the process undergo like a New Orleans Saints type of philosophy shift offensively and defensively. I don't want to see that. I would rather see more Mike McCarthy. At least I knew what to expect. I would know what to expect and feel better about that. It's that uncertainty that concerns me. It's that uncertainty that frankly worries me going forward. It's interesting that Gutekunst, the general manager, how the hell you say his name, and frankly, he hasn't done a good enough job to say that he demands to have his name said right. So I'm not going to worry about it. He has now put a lot more pressure on Aaron Rodgers because the general manager's new, the head coach is going to be new. The one constant in this situation is Aaron Rodgers. And I can tell what we saw this year, you could really see the simmering tension really reaching a boiling point between Rodgers and McCarthy. And frankly, at times when you watch Rodgers this year, it felt like he was just doing whatever the hell he wanted. His footwork's a mess. He just doesn't look right. He doesn't quite look the same. Even though statistically he might look really, really good, it's just ultimately not the same. And they put a lot of pressure on him now. It's going to be very important for them to go out there and get a guy on the offensive side of the ball that can challenge Rodgers, that can humble Rodgers a little bit, but also do things differently, shake things up, and get more and better out of Aaron Rodgers and that Packers offense, and ultimately that defense as well. Mike McCarthy will be fine. He'll land on his feet again pretty soon. He deserves, based off of his resume, based off of his accomplishments, to have a head coaching job in the 2019 season, and he probably will. Cleveland seems to be a very prominent option for him and would seem to be a decent fit, and I feel like he might be a good fit for Baker Mayfield, frankly. So there's that. So for Packer fans, I understand it. I get it. It was time for a change. There's no doubt. There's no spin you can put on it. The dude had to go. And that Arizona Cardinals loss at home in Lambeau on Sunday, that had to be the final straw. The whole thing of, well, McCarthy deserved the right to ride out the string. Who cares? No, he didn't. People get fired all the time in the real world regardless of their performance. The dude had almost 13 years in the job. He's still going to get paid his money that was remaining on his contract. If anything, the organization did him a favor not having him ride out the string, not having that cloud hang over his head, distancing himself a little bit from this bad finish to his Green Bay Packers head coaching tenure and giving him time to organize himself and his priorities and potentially start to piece together a staff for whatever next head coaching job he ultimately takes. The organization did him a favor and in the process did themselves a favor. Gave themselves some time to evaluate the rest of the staff that's there, see who they might want to keep, see who they were ready to move on from, and get ready for 2019. Everybody knows as the season went along that this was going to happen. So why delay the inevitable? To sit there and say, well, he deserved better. If anything, letting him ride out the string as a lame duck would have been the worst and less respectful thing to do. If you're going to do it anyways and get it the hell done and over with. But Bears fans should also back off a little bit and not be too excited about this. Because granted, the Packers could get this wrong. They absolutely could. And that would be a great and glorious thing. But they could get this right. And we know the history with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. If they get the head coaching hire right, it means we still got to worry about that damn dude beating our asses twice a year for the next several years to come. So let's not get too giggly tits over one season of failure, one season without success for the Green Bay Packers, because long term, it is absolutely the best thing for this organization and for all parties involved.